Good morning. Always gives me this little countdown going live. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. And I hope that this live session or recorded session finds you well, finds you healthy, and yeah, and that you're doing well as you're staying at home, or you're in BC. Things are starting to slowly, methodically open back up. So today, just before I dive in, a reminder that we have e-news blasts going out each week, and these are really nice nuggets of information with family caregivers of British Columbia. Included are our virtual sessions that we are holding in our online platform space, and that's for caregiver support groups, both provincially and locally, and local being Greater Victoria. We also have a workshop coming up this Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time that we will be having clinical counselor Tricia Wallace, and she'll be talking about mental well-being, kind of holistic well-being, and specifically about this worry that tends to come up as caregivers. And I have just looked at her presentation. It's going to be great. So please register for that if you're interested. And also we have a journaling workshop that's coming up as well. There's limited space for that one. Again, all this is on our calendar, on our website, but feel free to ask questions if you're curious. Okay, so today, what I thought would be really helpful, I know for myself as I started to practice mindfulness and as I start to teach mindfulness, even if you have heard the word mindfulness, if you have a regular practice, and for those that might be new and really curious about the practice, I think it's really key to start and unwind to know what is mindfulness exactly? What are we trying to do here? And some of the common myths. So similar to last week, I went over self-compassion mindfulness and started to break down what kind of gets in the way of us actually being compassionate to ourselves. So mindfulness is the awareness that emerges through simply paying attention, but on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of moment-to-moment experiences. And I'll preface that a lot of this information and explanation comes from John Kabat-Zinn, and he founded and teaches and is just a brilliant practitioner himself of mindfulness and the mindfulness stress reduction program that he offers. Okay, I read recently Marianne Williamson wrote, "If you want to end darkness, you cannot beat it with a baseball bat. You have to turn on the light." So a lot about mindfulness is about getting quiet and getting still. And sometimes when this happens, we might start to notice things that we might not want to pay attention to. So we don't need to enter a kind of like showdown with our self-destructive behaviors or thoughts, but we can't also deny their existence in our experience. So what she suggested when I was reading a passage from her book is that we must simply come to know it, and then we move on. And we learn to focus wholeheartedly on our positive behavior or things that are filling us up. And knowing that the shadow and the light are both important parts of our life and our practice. So common myths of mindfulness. The goal of mindfulness is not relaxation or bliss, although sometimes this can be a pleasant side effect in our practice. The only goal in practicing mindfulness is non-judgmental awareness. Mindfulness is not about going into a trance or becoming unconscious or having a blank mind. And this is really common. A lot of times when I'm practicing myself or when I'm teaching and guiding someone through, they're like, that was horrible. I just kept thinking. It is definitely not about having a blank slate of a mind. Um, in fact, the opposite is true. Mindfulness allows us to become more attuned to our moment to moment thoughts and our emotions and our sensations. And so you might start to see patterns or habits, but it's not an internal counseling session. You don't need to go into it, you're just noticing. Mindfulness is not running away from reality at all. It rather is an honest and compassionate meeting of reality as it is. It really asks us to be fully present in our experience and in our life and what we might discover. Mindfulness is not selfish. And this came up last week in our mindfulness self-compassion um, talk. Compassion for the self leads to compassion of others. And when we learn to forgive and to love ourselves, even despite our imperfections, compassion for others naturally arises. We actually strengthen this when we start to know that we are flawed too. And mindfulness is not a quick fix. It takes time and it takes effort to have these lasting effects. And I won't go into it, but there is a neurology, there's deep research in how it actually affects our mind. It physically changes the landscape of our mind. And as you know, this doesn't just happen in one seated session. It is about strengthening the mind muscle and doing it somewhat consistently. They say 20 minutes a day, but I say do it as long as you can, even if it's a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you start small and you start to build. Okay, so another component. So we know that some of the myths and some of the reasons that we don't do things are actually just myths. And then when people start to come to practice mindfulness, they are usually questioning, well, what am I doing? What exactly am I doing here? And so John Kabat-Zinn has kind of laid out these attitudes of mindfulness, something that we're trying to cultivate. And I'll go through them knowing that when you're actually seated, you're not going to say, okay, I'm a beginner, I'm a beginner's mind, or I'm curious. You're just noticing and you start to kind of embody these in your day to day off the pillow or seated. So the first one is non-judgmental. So mindfulness is cultivated by taking a stance of non-judgment awareness and witnessing of your own experiences. And this requires us to become really aware of what we do judge. So you kind of take a step back and sometimes, oftentimes we start to notice that, man, I'm really judgmental and I'm judgmental of this or myself or that person. But with a non-judging mind, there are neither good nor bad thoughts. They simply are, you're just being present and you're being aware. And again, this takes practice. The second one is patience. So patience demonstrates that we understand and we accept things have their own time to unfold. We tend to be patient with ourselves, expecting to be impatient. We should be able to calm the mind. I should be able to do this. I should be able to stop my thoughts or get over whatever is upsetting us. But all these tendencies of the mind, of life, they all have their season. And being patient and cultivating patience is a mindfulness practice. The third one, and I say this often because I teach yoga in Victoria and it's full of regular practitioners of yoga and mindfulness. And I think this is really key, is to have a beginner's mind. So maybe you are advanced practitioner and this could be even in your job or the things that you do, but how can you bring a beginner's mind to your experience? So be able to see the richness of the present moment And it really helps us to be patient and to really observe the unfolding of the mind and the body over time. The next one is trust. You are your own best teacher, your own best guide. And I'm going to say that again because I practice this a lot. Trusting you are your own best guide. It is far, far better to trust your own feelings, intuition, and experience than to get caught up in authority of the experts. So, in any time something doesn't feel right to you, pay attention. Pay attention to that, examine your own feelings, and trust your intuition. And this really starts to build your own internal compass of what does feel right to you, what is a yes, and what is a no. Okay, the next one is non-striving. So meditation is different from all other human activity. We do it with no goal and no end destination in our mind. And this can be really hard. I know it's personally hard for me not to have okay, when I get here, I will achieve this. It really is simply being and not doing. This is, there's no goal other than for you to be aware and to cultivate a non-judgment awareness. And the last two are kind of like when you get through all the muck of the mud, you start to see the flower. So the next step is acceptance, involves seeing things as they are in the present moment. Sometimes we might not like it, but it's the way things are. So we're starting to really see things more clearly and maybe even accept them as they are. So acceptance allows us to cease struggling to change things that are beyond our ability to control. And it's the first genuine step in process of change. So only with acceptance can the mind become free. The last one is letting go. And this is usually known as non-attachment. So in our minds, there are often things we want to hold on to, even remember, and we ruminate on thinking and thoughts and past and future, whether they are good memories or bad feelings. Our minds tend to really grasp some thoughts and really actively push others away. So with letting go, we put aside the tendency to elevate some parts of our experience and also reject others, and simply letting our experience be what it is. So you can really get the flavor here that of letting things be. You are being here in the moment. You're not doing anything, and with that, having a lens of curiosity, beginner's mind, acceptance, and really being open to the whole scope of your experience. Okay. I love this quote, and this will enter us right into our practice. So I think it's key to have some of these learning components. So you're starting to be like, oh, okay, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about mindfulness and what it is and what it's not and what I'm trying to actively cultivate in my practice. If you want to know your mind, your body will always give you a truthful reflection. That was Eckhart Tolle. So today our practice will be a body scan. So really coming into the body, using the breath and noticing how our body affects our mind and our mind affects our body. So please start to ground yourself by sitting comfortably. If you're in a chair, uncross your legs, place your feet onto the earth, really ground yourself. Bring your hands to your lap, close your eyes, and take a few nice and big deep breaths here. You might even breathe out your mouth, your nose, just to find a cleansing cycle here to bring you here, quiet, noticing that natural state of your breath. And allow your body and mind to begin to settle. With a relaxed and open awareness, start to gradually and thoroughly scan your entire body. Pay attention to the top of your head, and without looking for anything in particular, feel the sensation there. Crown of your head. Then let your attention move down. Feel the sensation on the back of your head, on either side of your head, through your ears. Notice the sensation through your forehead, your eyes, your nose, your cheeks, jaw, and mouth. Be as slow and as thorough as you can. And as you continue the scan, be careful not to use your eyes to direct your attention. This will often create tension. Rather, connect directly with sensations by feeling the body from within the body. You might notice different sensations, and it's common to feel numbness or for there to be maybe no sensation at all. Just let your attention remain in those areas for a few moments. Images or thoughts will naturally arise here, and notice them passing. And then gently return your attention to the sensations. And let your intention be to release all ideas and experience your physical aliveness exactly as it is right now. Place your attention to your neck, your throat, and noticing what sensations you feel in this area. And then between your shoulders, from the inside out, noticing the sensations. And let your attention go down your arms, feeling the aliveness there. Notice your hands, your palms, your fingers. You can notice them from the inside out. Notice the way they're placed on your lap, the front of the palm, the back of the palm. Notice any sensations, maybe tingling, pulsing, pressure, warmth, cold. To bring some aliveness into your body by noticing. You don't need to change anything. Now place your awareness at your chest, exploring your whole chest. And let it sink down to your stomach with a soft and receptive awareness. And take a moment to feel the sensations in your abdomen. And bring your attention to your upper back, feeling the sensation around your shoulder blades, down a little lower to your mid and lower back, and the entire spinal column. And let that awareness sweep up and down, just bringing attention to your hips, your glutes. What are the actual sensations that are arising in your body right now? And then slowly letting it descend down in towards your legs, feeling them from within. Get all the way through your knees, your shins, your calves, and feeling your feet and your toes here. Noticing the places where your body touches the floor or the chair. Noticing that contact point and also the pressure or temperature. And as you rest in awareness of your whole body, if particular sensations call your attention, bring a soft and allowing attention to them. You don't manage or manipulate your experience. And don't try to push anything away or hold on to anything too tight. Just noticing this dance of awareness and of thought and how it changes from moment to moment here. And if there's no particular sensation calling your attention right now, just remain open to feeling energy in your body. If your attention or thoughts get carried away, you might use the word or words thinking, and then bring your attention back again to your body and your breath. That whole field of awareness you're cultivating right now. Take a few more cycles of breath here. And if it feels good to you right now in this moment to touch inward, maybe to your heart space, hands at heart center, or even just kind of being receptive and compassionate with your hands on your lap. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And do one more just like that. Big breath in and a nice slow breath out. And thank yourself for making the time and the attention and your efforts to be here. And thank yourself for being open and receptive to practice and maybe practice something different or new or continue practicing. And I thank you and Family Caregivers of British Columbia thanks you for being a caregiver or supporting caregivers or just being you. So thank you for practicing, and I'll be with you for one more session next week. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook in a private message, or you can comment here, and we're happy to get back to you. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and I'll see you next week.